Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another review. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all. And let's just get right into this review. So at the very beginning of this episode, Shay is in the car with Fabo and she decides to go live on social media so that everybody can see that they're still together. And she gets so pissed off by the comments that she's in there blocking people because they're talking bad about her relationship with Fabo, which if she knows that people are going to do this because they do it all the time, then I don't know why she decided to go live just knowing that people are going to make these negative comments about her relationship. But she ended up saying that she decided to cut off her family and friends because everybody has something bad to say about her relationship with Fabo because they really do not like him. And look, I understand her not wanting people in her business, but she makes her business public for everybody to see and everybody to know. The things that they know that Fabo has done to her is because she went and told her family what he's done and what he said, and that's the reason why they don't like him. On top of that, he's just rude and disrespectful. The way that he was talking to her mother last season was crazy, so I can understand why her family does not like him. But in this episode, she kept blaming her mother for everything, saying that it's her fault that they don't speak to each other because she keeps disrespecting Fabo. When I saw it as him disrespecting her mother, has her mother gotten out of line sometimes? Yes. And do I think that her mother should stay out of her business? Yes, because the more her mother is in her business, the more it pushes her closer to Fabo. But that doesn't change the fact that Fabo was really disrespectful to her mother and her brother, and that he doesn't really treat her the best either. And Shay is really acting like a victim in this episode because she started saying that everybody was trying to paint her out to be a bad guy last season and she didn't do anything to anybody. And then she tried to say that Amara was wrong for making it a big deal that Fabo was photographed holding her daughter on the beach. And I don't feel like Amara was wrong for being upset about that. First of all, her and Shay were not on good terms at the time. They have gotten into it throughout the entire season last time. So I don't understand why Fabo would think it's okay to hold Amara's daughter. I just feel like that was disrespectful. So I don't feel like Amara over-exaggerated that. But Shay does want to try to make amends with her brother MJ, so she decided that she was going to ask him to come with her to Flo's event, and she's hoping that he shows up because she feels like she can get through to him rather than getting through to her mother. Now, in last week's episode, Flo said that she bought a $2 million house, but she has Marlin living with her, which I think is actually really weird because they did say that they were not together, and Flo keeps saying that she's going to divorce him and that she doesn't want to be with him anymore, even though she still keeps having him living in her home. Like, I don't understand that. Like, he said that he's doing all the cooking and cleaning and fixing things in the house because he wants to win her back. But Flo keeps saying that she doesn't want him at all. So I just think it's weird that she has him living in the house. Like, why would you want somebody who you don't get along with, who's cheated on you with your sister and everybody else under the sun, living under the same roof as you? And that's why I don't feel like they're getting a divorce. I feel like they're still together completely and that they still want to be together. And this conversation that they had made me feel that way because she started bringing up what happened between her and Amara in last week's episode when they met up with each other, and she lies and says that Amara assaulted her and got physical with her when that's not true. She's the one who threw a drink in Amara's face first, and Amara just returned the favor. So I don't understand why Flo is playing a victim. She seems to do that a lot, and I'm starting to notice that about her, that she tries to make it seem like she's innocent and she doesn't do anything wrong and that Gael's the bad guy all the time, when I feel like she's just as bad as Gael. She's just able to hide it better. But the reason why I said this conversation between her and Marlin made me feel like she still wants to be with him is because she started drilling him about Amara saying that he has flirted with her before when they had that meetup in last week's episode. And basically she started going off on Marlin about that. And it's like, if you guys are not together anymore and you guys are going to get a divorce and you don't want him, why do you care if he was flirting with somebody else? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. So she starts going off on him about it, and he starts telling her that he never flirted with Amara and claims that Amara is actually the one that was flirting with him. Now, I don't believe him. I think that he was flirting with Amara. I saw the clips. I feel like he's the one who tried to come at Amara, but he tries to make it seem like it's the other way around, and it seems like Flo kind of believes him a little bit because she already doesn't like Amara. But I was just confused by this conversation because, like I said before, if they're not together and she doesn't want him, why does she care if he was flirting with somebody else? Now, Zoe ends up going on a girls' trip to get away from her boyfriend because she said that ever since he started being her manager, things haven't been the same in their relationship, and he seems like more of a manager than her boyfriend, and she really doesn't like it, so she needed a break. And she ends up inviting Estelita, and she ends up inviting Eliza. And she ends up telling them all about her relationship and how it's going wrong, and I honestly don't think that she should have made him her manager while he's her boyfriend because I just feel like it's a conflict of interest, and I feel like that's the reason why it's messing up her relationship. If if she still wants to be in a relationship with him, she's gonna have to tell him that she just wants him to be her boyfriend and not her manager anymore. I don't know how well that's gonna go, but if he can't accept that, then the two of them don't need to be together anyway. But when Shay's name comes up in conversation, Estelita lets Zoe and she lets Eliza know that she's still not cool with Shay because Shay threw her past trauma in her face at the end of last season, and obviously she's gonna have an issue with Shay for that. Everybody had an issue with her for that. I think that Shay was wrong and she tried to clean it up and say that that's not what she meant, but we all know that's exactly what she meant, and so I can understand why Estelita is still upset with her. But then Zoe ends up mentioning to Eliza that she actually got invited to Flo's event, and that's when Eliza ends up telling them what happened between Flo and Amara in last week's episode about Flo throwing a drink in Amara's face and them going back and forth with each other about Safari, and she said that she has a problem with the fact that Flo did what she did to Amara because she feels like Amara did not deserve it. And look, I agree with what Eliza was saying about Flo when she said that Flo throws rocks and hides her hand and tries to make it seem like she's the innocent one and that Gael is the one that's problematic when really they're just the same. You can tell that they're the same because Flo really doesn't do anything about the bad things that Gael does, and she does messy stuff with Gael, so to me she's no different than her. But because Zoe is friends with Flo and she really likes her, she ends up telling Eliza that she should reach out to Flo and try to work things out because she thinks the two of them will be able to get along with each other. I feel like Zoe should not have done that because I honestly don't think that Eliza wants to be cool with Flo, and based on what Flo did in this episode, I can tell that she doesn't want to be cool with Eliza either. Now, Trina's brother Snoop ends up getting a call from Hot Topic saying that she wants to meet up to talk about Trina, and basically Hot Topic ends up telling Snoop that ever since Trina has been with her new husband Swerve, the two of them have not really spoken that much, and Trina has basically not been dealing with anybody anymore because she occupies all her time with Swerve. Mind you, at this point, nobody knows that Trina and Swerve are actually married because Trina said that she was going to keep that a secret until she's ready to let people know, and so they're talking about him as if he's just her boyfriend at this point. But Hot Topic ends up telling Trina's brother that he probably needs to have a talk with Swerve or have a talk with Trina because Bobby said in the last episode that he ended up getting an anonymous message from somebody saying that Swerve was basically plotting on Trina the entire time and that he was stalking Trina's favorite hot dog stand so that he can run into her, so that he can get into her life. And so also he ended up getting a message from somebody saying that he has a child that he doesn't take care of. So I don't know if these rumors are true, and I don't think that Trina would care because she seems like one of those people who if you go to her and tell her something about the guy that she's with, she's not going to believe you and she's actually going to get mad. And at this point, she's married to him, so there's really nothing they can do about it right now, and I don't think that she would believe the rumors anyway. We don't know if Trina actually knows if this stuff is true or not either because we don't know what they talk about off camera, but her boyfriend does seem a little bit suspicious. He's kind of quiet. He always has sunglasses on, and he really doesn't share anything about himself. I'm not saying that he has to completely open up to people about himself, but it does seem like he just showed up out of the blue and he's just really mysterious. You don't know where he came from or who he is. I feel like maybe Trina knows this information, but because nobody else actually has gotten the chance to get to know Swerve, that's the reason why people have all these questions. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was plotting to get involved with Trina because he wanted to further his music career, because Hot Topic also ends up telling Snoop in this episode that Swerve and Trina are actually filming a music video together, and this took Snoop by surprise because he didn't even know that Swerve did music. So that is something that you have to be concerned about. But Trina doesn't seem to care because she ended up doing an interview recently and she said that they don't even have a prenup in their marriage. So honestly, it seems like she doesn't care and she trusts him. So here's where things get really messy in this episode because Zoe ends up meeting up with her sister Bianca, and Bianca ends up telling Zoe about this guy who's on the show that she's been dealing with, and she feels like he might be cheating on her. And when Zoe ends up asking her who the guy is, she says Fabo, and we all know that Fabo is with Shay, so she was confused and taken aback by this. But Bianca claims that Fabo reached out to her a year ago on social media, and they've been talking, and he told her that him and Shay are not really together. It's only for the show, but they're not really in a relationship with each other. But Zoe starts telling her sister that she needs to stop talking to Fabo because him and Shay actually are together and it's not just for show, and they even have a child together. Like, none of it is fake. And so it seems like Bianca is too wrapped up in her relationship with Fabo that she doesn't want to hear anything that Zoe has to say, because when Zoe told her to stop talking to him, she said it was too late. So either she's already wrapped up with him and she's in love with him, or she's pregnant with his child. But see, I don't feel bad bad for Shay in this situation because she's quick to call everybody else stupid. Like, she sat up there and she called Amara stupid about Safari, but yet she's still with Fabo when she knows that he's been cheating on her as well. And according to Bianca, she's been dealing with Fabo for a year now, so that's crazy. So because Flo feels like she was ganged up on by Amara and Eliza, she decided that she was going to make up with Gael, even though the two of them have not been speaking since the end of last season. But she really needs her help to deal with this situation with Amara and Eliza, so she decides to go meet with her and have a conversation. And basically she tells Gael that she needs her help, but that she wants her to try to be a better sister. And Gael claims that the reason why she's done the things that she's done to Flo, like sleeping with her husband and trying to sleep with Claudia, is because she wanted to prove to Flo that these people were no good to have in her life. But that's not a way to prove that to your sister. That's just you being disgusting. So I just don't understand how Flo and Gael can be cool with each other. And that's why I don't really believe that Gael really slept with Marlin. Like, I feel like that might just be for a storyline, because I feel like if your sister sleeps with your husband, I don't think that you'll be that willing to be cool with them again after that. I think it would take some time. But if it is true, Gael is absolutely disgusting. But again, Flo starts trying to play a victim when it comes to the whole Amara and Eliza situation, claiming that Amara attacked her and physically assaulted her when she's the one who threw a drink at Amara first. Amara just threw it back in retaliation, so I don't understand why she's going around trying to make it seem like Amara just attacked her out of nowhere. Now, I feel like the two of them shouldn't have met up and got into it in the first place, because Safari is really not worth it, but they did anyway. And look, Flo ends up inviting Eliza to her store so that they can have a conversation, and she has Gael there with her as backup just in case something happens. And obviously Eliza did not know that Gael was going to be there, because she was probably under the impression that Flo and Gael were not on good terms, but she ended up bringing Estelita with her for backup too. So basically it's 2 on 2. And when they get there, they all immediately start arguing with each other about Amara, and basically Estelita and Eliza are claiming that they're there to defend Amara, because Estelita claims that she knows that Amara would not start a physical fight, which is true. Amara was not the one that started things off getting physical. It was Flo, so Estelita definitely had that right. However, I don't really feel like Eliza is being genuine with trying to defend Amara, because she wasn't really acting like a friend to Amara last season either. I don't even understand how Amara could be friends with Eliza, because Eliza was being just as messy as Flo was last season. And the conversation didn't go anywhere anyway, because they were all slinging insults at each other, and then, you know, Gael ends up bringing up Eliza's daughter, and that's when things almost turned physical. So the conversation went absolutely nowhere. Now, after that conversation that Trina's brother Snoop had with Hot Topic in this episode, he decided to show up to Trina and Swerve's music video shoot so that he can have a conversation with Swerve. And he ends up pulling Swerve to the side, and he starts asking him some questions like, where is he from? How did he meet Trina? And all that stuff like that. And really, Swerve was not answering any of his questions, and I don't understand why he wasn't answering any questions. And I'm not saying that he had to answer every single question that Snoop asked him, but some of the questions that he asked him, like where he's from, is not something that you should have to hide. So I was confused by that. He was just acting really secretive and a little bit weird. And when Trina's brother ended up asking him about this child that there's a rumor that he has, he claims that, you know, Trina knows everything that she needs to know. And so that makes me feel like there probably is a child out there, and maybe Trina does know about it, or maybe he's not trying to confirm or deny if these rumors are true. I don't know. I personally feel like everybody should stay out of Trina's business, because at the end of the day, she already married this man, which her brother ends up finding out from Swerve in this episode, which he was shocked about. And she already said in a recent interview that she didn't even get a prenup. So at this point, there's nothing anybody can do. So it's the day of Flo's store opening, and she ends up inviting Shay, despite the fact that there was tension between Shay and Gael, because the two of them don't like each other, because Gael last season ended up going to Shay's mother and telling her that she went to a woman that does voodoo, and her mother was obviously uncomfortable with that. So now her and Shay do not like each other. And so Shay ends up going up to Flo, and Flo immediately starts telling her what happened when she met up with Amara, and how Amara threw a drink in her face, and she claims that it was all over Safari, even though the drink didn't get thrown in her face over Safari. The drink got thrown in her face because she threw one first. So that's what she's leaving out of the story that she's telling everyone. And then Shay starts saying that Amara should not be fighting with anybody over Safari because he's for the streets. And that might be true, but she should not be talking based on what we found out that Fabo has been allegedly doing with Zoe's sister. Because at the very end of this episode, Zoe actually ends up showing up to Flo's event, and she immediately goes up to Shay and pulls her aside to have a conversation, and she tells her everything that her sister told her earlier in this episode. She tells Shay that her sister has been dealing with Fabo and that he said that their relationship is fake, and he's been dealing with her sister for about a year, and basically she said that her sister might actually be pregnant by Fabo. And the episode cut there, but we see in the previews for next week's episode that Shay actually ends up flipping out when she confronts Fabo about this, and she starts yelling about how she's gonna beat up Bianca. And I was confused by her anger at Bianca, because her anger should be at Fabo. I mean, yes, she can be mad that Bianca knew about her. However, if Fabo is telling her that their relationship is not real and it's just for TV, then I feel like she has misplaced anger. She should be upset at Fabo for making her look like a fool on national TV. And see, this is what she gets for defending him continuously, because she had a lot to say about Amara being with Safari and looking like a fool, but now she looks like a fool when it comes to Fabo, and this woman might actually be pregnant by him. So I mean, this is a really messy situation.